Welcome to Build Your Maverick Business, the podcast for underdog, outlier, and renegade entrepreneurs. If you dream of going off on your own and launching your rebel empire, but don't know where to start, you're in the right place. We'll teach you how to use mindset, branding, and practical advice to build a killer business and transform your world. And now, here's your host, Alex Pitt.
Hello there, welcome back. Hope your day is more chill than mine is. I've just about managed to squeeze in the recording of this episode in between, I think it was 8 out of 10 calls in the day, before I then have to go off and do all of the things that were discussed on said calls. It's going to be a late one. Such is the nature of the business though. That is the way it goes sometimes. This week, just in general, it's one of those really chaotic ones. That lie that we tell ourselves as adults where it's like, I've just got to get through this week and then everything will calm down. Been saying that for a while now, maybe one day. But at least I can say that this week has been chaotic in a fun way. There is such a thing. So apart from all of my usual shite that I get up to, long story short, one of my clients has been working on a ton of exciting new products and everything is going live literally a week today. I have not looked away from Slack for more than about 5 minutes for fear of missing out on about 50,000 messages. And a lot of what I do for this client in general is to just answer questions for various team members so that I can, let's say, cushion things a little bit for the co-founders. They've got a lot of questions being fired at them to the co-founders, so I try and direct some of the proverbial shitstorm from heading to them from the wider team where possible. And there is one thing that comes up so often, not just with this client by the way, not even just with people I've worked with. This is a very common theme that I see in so many conversations I have with business owners. That theme, to summarise, is overthinking and over-engineering of ideas, getting stuck in that thinking stage and very much stagnating on how to make something really, really perfect before getting it out into the world. So I guess it's like an avoidance of actually getting stuff done. And it applies to so many areas of business, from creating and launching new products like we're doing at the moment with this client, to everything else, to writing social media posts, to planning events, if that's something your business would do. There's such a common need, it seems, from so many to hide in this thinking phase, planning every little detail and thinking, how can I make sure I have created the absolute perfect version of this thing before putting it out into the world? And more so than the fact that all of these products are launching and I'm well in the thick of it at the moment, I happened across a quote that I think is bloody lovely. And when I saw it, I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to talk about this week, fast and loose as I am with the planning of this podcast in general. And the lovely quote that I saw comes from General George S. Patton Jr. That's a mouthful. The quote is this: "A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan next week." I'm going to say it again, loud for people in the back. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan next week. I think just the idea of a plan being violently executed just makes me chuckle a bit, if I'm honest. Mostly because I've done a few violently executed plans in my time. Don't get me wrong, it might sound like I'm being careless or scrappy even in my approach to building things for myself and for others' businesses, but no, what you have to understand is this: new businesses, startups, need to be reactive. They need to be so reactive. They need to move so fast, because the balance between money coming in and the drain on resources, the money going back out again, that's very delicate right at the start. You can't sit around twiddling your thumbs if your overheads are so many hundreds or thousands of pounds a month. You can't be dicking around for 6 months before making any return on your hard work, on your investment. That's the brutal truth. This isn't just my little maverick mind saying, why don't you just be a little bit more shit? No. This is about making sure that you're getting financial return on the hard work that you're putting in, and that you're not just going to hemorrhage money and fail before you've even really given yourself a chance. Now, I'm not saying you should be releasing any old shit that will likely fall apart or break. What I am saying is that there are real benefits for early stage businesses to get things out in the world faster. Create, share, tweak. Create, share, tweak. So instead of stagnating and thinking too hard or trying to make something perfect before it goes out into the world, what should we do instead? Instead, we're going to make an MVP. Whoa there, I hear you cry. I know. Alex, didn't you say you weren't going to use any jargon in this podcast? I did say that, yeah. So I'm going to tell you what I mean by MVP so no one can bitch about my little corporate slur there. MVP stands for Minimal Viable Product. Stick with me, lads, all right? Minimal Viable Product. All that means is that to keep things moving, to stop yourself from getting stuck in that stagnating phase, you want to create the absolute most stripped back, just about does the job it's supposed to do version of the thing that you're working on. Bear that in mind. It still wants to do the job it's supposed to do. But while you're still building, while you're still testing, it may be that there are things that are going to affect the build of this product or the sequence or whatever it is that you're trying to work on right now. There could be things that you haven't thought of. So getting out an imperfect version, seeing how it lands, testing the process, seeing how your users or customers react to it means that what you're actually creating is going to be so much more informed. There is no point creating a perfect version of some shit that doesn't work and no one wants. I'm being a bit harsh in this episode, I realise, but I want the best for you, pals. Right, I'm going to give you an example of this because you know I love a little example, a little story. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest here. I didn't know this story before I started researching for this episode. So I found the story and I'm going to relay it to you as best as I've understood it because I thought it was fucking cool. So we can all enjoy this together. Right, in the late 1990s, there was this guy. His name was Nick Swinmurn. I'm going to say Swinmurn. Sorry, Nick, if you're listening. I really fucking doubt you are. This man, Nick Swinmurn, he had an idea. Bear in mind, late 1990s, right? E-commerce is not exactly quite the beast that it is now. So he had this wild idea. What if people could buy shoes online? Shoes online without going to a shop? Madness, I know. At the time though, again, late 1990s, that idea actually sounded quite risky, right? Shoes are pretty personal, I guess, in that people like to try them on, see how they feel, check the fit, etc. Do a few laps of Sports Direct or wherever you're getting your trainers from. So investors and anyone involved in this, anyone that had the plans, were sceptical that anyone actually would buy shoes without physically trying them first. So enter the MVP approach. This is what Nick did. Instead of spending time and money getting himself a warehouse, buying a load of shoes, an inventory system, custom e-commerce platform, whatever, what he did was he went to local shoe shops, as in little independent ones, and he just took pictures of the shoes on the shelves. He then built a really, really basic website and put the pictures of the shoes up. No inventory, nothing, just the images and a description of the shoe. And then if someone bought it, he'd go back. He'd go back to the shop, he'd buy them at full retail price and just ship them to them. So he's got no warehouses, no stock, no logistics. All he'd done is prove that people were actually going to buy shoes online. Can you imagine how many tens of thousands, if not millions of pounds, he could have sunk, or his investors could have helped him sink, to learn that actually people didn't want to do that. No one wanted to buy shoes online. It's scrappy, it's DIY, but he's proved a point and he's learnt something there. So what happens next? Zappos is this company. Officially launched in, when was it? 1999. They built this whole infrastructure based on what they'd learned from this fella going and buying shoes from his local shops. They focused really heavily on customer service and returns, which they learnt was important. Built up a whole brand and then sold it for, I want to say, yeah, it's in the billions of dollars. All from the most stripped back, basic version of what the product eventually came to be. So why do we love MVPs now that we all know what this means? They're going to minimise risk, validate your idea really quickly with real customers rather than faffing, getting in that stagnating stage. You're going to base things on learning, not on assuming, not trying to get into your customers' heads and assume you know what they want or how they're going to act. Now, like I say, MVPs don't just have to relate to the actual product that you're selling or the very core of what your business does, like that story does, like the shoe story does. This really is just a rant about how the getting shit done strategy is one you should live by in those early stages of your business. You can get out of that planning stage so much faster. Stop yourself overthinking and start actually doing, because progress does beat perfection when you're that young and trying to grow. You can be testing and improving with proper feedback. You can be learning from real people and start making little smart adjustments early on. And like I say, you can also save a bit of cash. Because let's be honest, going down to your local Clark's and taking a picture of a pair of shoes, low risk. It's a small, low-risk experiment. So there you go, my love. Something to think about. Is there something you are stuck in the overthinking stage of? What is the scrappiest, shittest way you can get it out there to make sure that you are on track? Have a wonderful rest of your week. I will catch you here next time. If you love what you're hearing in this podcast, but you are still yet to start that rebel empire of your own, I've got something that might help. Head over to the show notes of this episode where you will find a free 7-step action plan to kickstarting your first side hustle. It's got pretty pictures, it's got activities. What more could you want, my loves? Get it downloaded, try it out, let me know how you get on.